All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to decode the incredibly complex, often frustrating neurological world of migraines. And more importantly, we're going to explore some highly actionable dietary strategies to help you take back control of your daily life. Honestly, if you've ever felt like your environment or even your favorite meals are suddenly turning against you, you are in exactly the right place. Look, we've got to start by tackling the absolute biggest misconception out there. We need to ask, is a migraine just a simple, really bad headache, or is it something much more profound? For years, the word migraine has been tossed around so casually just to describe a tough day at the office. But the medical reality, it's drastically different. So here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1, more than a headache; 2, diagnosing headaches and migraines; 3, understanding migraine food triggers; 4, the chemical culprits; and finally, 5, building migraine-friendly diets. Section 1, more than a headache. It's actually fascinating to realize that a migraine isn't just head pain. It's a complex, full-body neurological disease. The American Migraine Foundation points out that during an attack, your brain literally alters how it processes sensory information. Suddenly, light feels way too bright, sounds are completely overwhelming, and even everyday smells can trigger intense nausea. So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that struggling to function or read or even make simple decisions during an attack is not a sign of weakness. It is an active, physiological, neurological event. Now, what's really wild is that the head pain isn't always the first symptom. Sometimes it's not even the worst one. A lot of people experience what's known as an aura. You can think of it like a neurological alarm system. This happens anywhere from 10 to 60 minutes before the actual pain even hits. An aura might cause you to see visual sparks or zigzags, or maybe you even temporarily struggle to speak clearly. It's a massive red flag that a migraine is on its way, which just further proves we're dealing with a whole brain process here. Section 2, diagnosing headaches and migraines. This brings us to a really foundational medical distinction: the clear line drawn between primary and secondary headaches. Primary headaches, and this includes migraines, tension, and cluster headaches, well, they happen when something simply isn't working right in your head or nervous system. They aren't caused by another disease. Secondary headaches, on the flip side, are red flags for other medical issues. That could be anything from basic dehydration and sinus infections to much more serious conditions. So pinpointing exactly which category you fall into is absolutely step 1. If you are seeking treatment, this is the exact progression you can expect at your very first doctor's visit. They aren't just going to ask where it hurts. They'll conduct physical and neurological exams, checking things like your muscle strength and your balance. They might even order an EEG to measure brain activity or a CT scan. But you know what the most important tool is? A headache journal. Simply tracking your symptoms, your sleep habits, and what you ate is often the master key to pinpointing your specific triggers. Section 3, understanding migraine food triggers. When you look at self-reported data highlighted by the American Migraine Foundation, patients overwhelmingly point the finger right at their fridge. Alcohol, coming in at 33%, and chocolate at 22% take the top spots as the most commonly reported food triggers. But, as we're about to see, medical science suggests this might actually be telling us a slightly misleading story. And here is the crazy twist. The American Migraine Foundation suggests we might actually have cause and effect completely backward. Often, a food craving is a symptom of the prodrome phase, which is the very early stage of an attack. So think about it. Your brain starts experiencing a migraine, it triggers a sudden craving for chocolate, you eat the chocolate, the head pain hits an hour later, and you naturally but incorrectly blame the chocolate. Mind-blowing, right? So while true direct food triggers might actually be less common than we historically thought, the Association of Migraine Disorders notes that many patients still benefit immensely from monitoring specific chemical intakes. Basically, even if chocolate didn't start the fire, certain chemicals can absolutely lower your brain's defense threshold, which makes an attack way more likely to slip through. Section 4, the chemical culprits. If you and your doctor decide to try out an elimination diet, there are specific naturally occurring chemicals and artificial additives that immediately become your prime suspects. You're going to want to look out for amines like tyramine, which is found heavily in aged and fermented foods. You're watching out for tannins in coffee and red wine. And crucially, you have to avoid additives like MSG and nitrates, which are super commonly used to cure processed meats like hot dogs and bacon. Section 5, building migraine-friendly diets. The really great news here is that eating an incredibly rich, fresh diet is still totally possible. The secret is focusing on whole, unfermented foods. When you hit the produce aisle, you want to load up on non-citrus fruits. Think strawberries, blueberries, apples, and peaches. These are generally very safe bets that aren't going to disrupt those delicate chemical thresholds in your brain. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the grocery store. Notice the overarching theme. We are avoiding anything aged or fermented. So for dairy, stick to American, cottage, or cream cheese, and strictly avoid aged cheddars, sour cream, and yogurt. But the bread category, this one actually surprises a lot of people. You want to steer clear of the delicious fresh-baked breads and donuts from the bakery, and instead opt for the standard store-bought packaged bread. And the magic number to remember for bread is 24. Any yeast bread you consume absolutely must be at least 24 hours old to be considered a safe, migraine-friendly choice. Fresh, hot yeast is incredibly chemically active and is a notorious trigger for sensitive folks. Just give it a day to settle down, and your brain will thank you. Moving on to main courses and snacks. When you're dealing with meats and chips, keeping it plain and unseasoned is absolutely your safest bet. Why? Because marinades, seasoned chips, and ready-made meals are infamous hiding spots for MSG. It's often disguised on ingredient labels under sneaky names like natural flavoring or hydrolyzed protein. Also, unfortunately for all the peanut butter lovers out there, nuts and nut butters carry high amine levels and really should be avoided during an elimination phase. Now, I know dining out can feel like walking through a minefield, but following a few simple rules can drastically lower your risk of triggering an attack. If you're at a fast food drive-thru, order your burgers unseasoned and definitely hold the onions. Skip the restaurant's soups and chilies entirely. They are usually just loaded with hidden MSG. Avoid the morning bagel shop because remember, those bagels were baked 10 minutes ago. And at a sit-down place, a plain chicken breast grilled in butter with an unseasoned baked potato is a fantastic, perfectly safe choice. Ultimately, managing migraines is all about managing your personal environment. So, armed with this deeper understanding of both the clinical, neurological realities and the specific dietary nuances, my question for you is this: how are you going to start tracking your own triggers to reclaim your days? Grab a notebook, start that headache journal tonight, and begin deciphering exactly what your brain is trying to tell you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and here is to fewer headaches and much healthier days ahead.